guys. 3 guys. They're blackmailing me. I wouldn't pay them. They had pictures of me and Cindy in a hotel. Yesterday, they showed me a videotape of Cindy strapped in a chair, being shot in the chest 5 times. And this accountant, he was my gun to kill her.
Roy Scheider's been fooling around with a topless dancer, and now he tells his wife, Anne Margaret, that he's being blackmailed. That's the setup for 52 Pickup, one of the new movies we're going to be reviewing this week. And I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times.
I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune. The title 52 Pickup refers, of course, to that old joke about a card game where you throw the cards in the air and someone else has to pick all 52 of them up. In the movie, Roy Scheider plays a successful businessman whose life is a house of cards that has been thrown in the air by blackmailers who have videotape proof that he's been cheating on his wife. When Scheider refuses to pay them, they murder his lover, frame him, and then up the ante. Rather than pay the ransom, Scheider decides to go after the trio of thugs one by one. And his journey takes him into the drug and porno worlds, where he interviews a prostitute who is friendly with a young girl he'd been seeing.
Leo has a couple of pals. A white one and a black one.
Honey, I didn't say nothing. Big envelope you've got there, huh?
The white guy. Smooth talker, businessman. You trust him, Doreen? What's his name?
For some reason, I'm not getting through to you.
Anne Margaret plays Scheider's wife, and after she gets mad at him, she agrees to help him. And here they combat the most brutal of the extortionists.
How come you come busting in here when I'm going to hand you $50,000 in cash?
50,000?
52. That's the deal I made with Alan. Didn't he tell you?
That was Clarence Williams III. Remember him from TV's Mod Squad a long time ago? Haven't seen him in a very long time, and he's a pretty good villain in this piece. In fact, a number of the performances are very good, especially Roy Scheider, and John Glover is the leader of the extortion gang. He is creepy and smart. The movie broke down, though, for me in 2 ways. One, I thought its story was highly contrived, too many loopholes in behavior. And second, I thought the violent sex in the film was much more than I cared to stomach. And that comes from the same guy who last week said he liked the violent, sexually violent, Something Wild, and I also like the sexually violent Blue Velvet. But this picture, I thought, really lingered over its violence, and that turned me off, even though I did enjoy the performances and the general outline of the story. It's a close call, but I wouldn't recommend 52 Pickup to a friend.
Well, I would recommend it to a friend, and I thought it was one of the best movies in a long time by John Frankenheimer, the director, who has been through a bad period, and this is really his comeback with a vengeance. And I love John Glover's performance as the villain. I think one of the things that so many modern thrillers forget, because they get a big star as the hero, and then the whole movie is about the star, and the villains are just these people that come on and go through their rote and then leave and so forth. This villain is a great villain. In fact, there were three villains in the movie altogether. Glover is the best one. And he's so evil and so convincing in his evil and so slick and so intelligent, as you said, that makes the movie work for me.
Roger, do you think the movie would be helped if they simply cut out some of the sex and the explicit sex? I think it would be helped tremendously. I would recommend it, for example.
I think what they're trying to do is be true to the author of the novel, Elmore Leonard, who a lot of people think is the best mystery writer in America today. And of course, in his books, the plots are complicated, just like this plot that you thought was too complicated.
Not complicated.
The violence is always very bizarre and very strung out, and I think they're trying to get that same feeling.
One thing.
This guy is a really slimy killer, and you've got to identify how slimy he is to make Scheider's reaction more convincing.
What's on the page can be one thing. When it's put on the screen, it can go overboard. And that's all I'm saying is I think that they went overboard and ruined what, in many other ways, is a good film.
Well, if there's one thing I know when I see a thriller, it's that I'm not going to be thrilled with a modern thriller 9 times out of 10 because they haven't had any imagination. So this time it worked for me, so maybe I'm giving a pass to some of this other stuff. I don't know. I would recommend it. Gene and I split on the thriller 52 Pickup. I found it gripping and compelling. He thought the story was implausible and needlessly violent, even though the performances were fine. So 1 thumb up and 1 thumb down.